Welcome everyone to the collab. I'm thrilled to have this opportunity today as we hear from our two distinguished guests whose work has truly transformed healthcare education, not only at JCCC, but in the entire healthcare industry. So thank you so much for being here. Please join me in welcoming our powerhouse of simulation education, Professor Kathy Carver, and alongside her is a legend in medical innovation, physician, inventor, and educator, Dr. David Zamierowski. First, I would like to introduce Professor Kathy Carver, a nurse educator, mentor, and the Zamierowski Family Endowed Professor for Simulation. She played a key role in advancing JCCC's healthcare simulation initiatives, leading national research, and helping students learn, quote, this is her quote, to think on their feet. And next, we have Dr. David Zamierowski, a surgeon, inventor, and educator, recognized as one of the most prolific medical innovators in the medical field. With over 50 patents, he has redefined wound care and simulation-based training. Together, Professor Kathy Carver and Dr. Zamierowski collaborated to develop the SAFingerStick, a glucose testing simulation device that is notable for being the first product ever conceived, funded, developed, and brought to market by a community college. Today, the SAFingerStick project is managed by JCCC Student Agency and remains the only student-led initiative in the healthcare simulation industry at the community college level. In September, it was showcased at the 17th Annual Kansas City Healthcare Simulation Conference, as well as at the JCCC Foundation board meeting. Both of you have been integral to the SAFingerStick journey. Before we dive in, I would like to have the chance for you to share a little bit about yourself.
If you want. Ladies first.
Okay, all right. I taught at Johnson County Community College for 38 years. Those years just went by so quickly. I was in nursing. I was teaching every possible different course, specialty, that I didn't have a real home. I think I was so multifaceted back then that we were very much a team. So when simulation arrived in 2001, we had a dean that said we needed a simulator. And I said, I don't know what that is, but, they said, we don't either. So just, we're going to buy the simulator, you figure out what to do with it, and we'll sort of go from there. And the story that Dr. Zamierowski came in like about 18 months later, said, what are you doing? And I said, I don't know, but come on in. And this is, we had some class, we had some students, we were listening, we were talking. It was very, very, very sort of simple, elementary at the moment. And then all of a sudden, we just had the opportunity to start the team. He says, I want to come back. I said, come. And so, yeah, again, it provided just another way to sort of understand what simulation and that teaching pedagogy could do for us. So I'm not sure I'm going to talk about the SAFinger, but that was. So in 2001, I pretty much transitioned there full-time teaching. So that sort of was something I did until I retired.
Anything to add, Dr. Zamierowski?
I'm glad you put it that way, because I wanted Kathy to go first to be sure she said enough about herself. I retired from plastic surgery in 2003. And was looking for a career in medical education, and had known some of the faculty from Johnson County Nursing School at the hospital where I worked, Shawnee Mission. And so I came here seeing if they could use a spare plastic surgeon. I had no idea how I might fit in. And Jean Walsh was the director then. And she said, we've just started something new. You might be interested. I want you to help Kathy Carver in the simulation lab. The simulation lab at that point was a curtain drawn around one bed in the corner of the skills lab, but that was enough to see the students interact with the mannequins. And once I saw the effect of that kind of education on the students, I was sold. And I said, this is what I want to push. You can push a lot of people and a lot of places and nothing happens. I was just so fortunate that who I was pushing at the time was Kathy Carver. I said, a curtain around a bed is not going to do it. You need a center. And we just started pushing for it, and we built it. And in that center was where the ideas for SAFinger came from.
Wow. So, going back to the beginning, when you were just discussing about the SAFinger for the first time, how did the idea originate? Did you see a need in when you're teaching students?
Well, yes, absolutely. Diabetic patients have become a major, health concern, and it's only going to continue to be a part of, what we need to be aware of and how to manage and provide teaching, learning opportunities. But I think we really wanted to build on our original patent that was our healthcare simulation training patent, was the first one.
I don't even remember. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we in that simulation patent, though, it provided for so many possibilities of developing ideas from it. So it was sort of more of a teaching pedagogy, and it was just the healthcare simulation, and that was like in 2010, maybe 2011. So when we were awarded that, we realized that wasn't going to be enough. We needed to really now hone down and put something out on the market that said, this is something that could be very experimental and helpful for students. So it was that conversation, I think, that we realized we needed to move into the market. And so I remember Dr. Zamierowski asking, Kathy, what do we need? And being the person teaching and in the healthcare moment, I said, I don't have anything to be able to, I have to play that we do a blood glucose stick. I don't have any way to be able to have a student to be able to go through that process. And how many times do they do that in the hospital? Every day, every student, every patient almost. That is just like, I don't have any way to give them the feeling, the ability to sort of position. How do you talk a patient through going through that? So I said, would that be something we could do? And then that's sort of how I remember that. He said, oh, well, then we need to provide some type of finger. So the thing about the SAFinger, though, I need to just sort of backtrack a little bit. It's a wearable. And we weren't into wearables at that moment. So right now, that is a big, that market of simulation, because we were into full-size mannequins. We were the whole, head to toe, plastic, into bed kind of thing. But the wearables are the ones where you could put it on a person or on the simulator. You could do it either way and be able to do the skill you needed to do. So that even pushed us a little bit farther than I think we even anticipated with this whole project. But that's sort of the conversation I remember.
I would like to add, if I may, I think your question asking, did you recognize a need, is the absolute best first step toward any device production or development. Kathy mentioned need several times. I actually have closer to 80 patents now.
Oh, wow.
But most of them are just pieces of paper that mark time and, oh, wasn't that a great idea, and nothing came of it. I only have a few patents that turn into products. And we want to make this point that it's not a great idea only, or just what you patent only. It's, can you find a need, a niche where you will fill the need for something important. And because we started with a need, we were able to keep moving into a useful product.
When you when you see a need and have an idea, then what are some of the steps that you take initially?
If I can feel that, I'd say if you think your idea is novel, unique, you need to research that and research the patent field and actually the patent literature arranged by topics and subjects, kind of easy to review and research, is a wonderful resource for what's going on in the field. And it's a literature that should be read by anybody into product development. Once you think your idea is worth a product, you need to protect that idea with a patent and work toward developing some type of prototype. And you remember all the things you tried, so you can actually see and prove that it will work that way and be useful. Mm-hmm. So protect your intellectual property, patent the idea, and develop a prototype to start with.
So do you develop the prototype after you patent the idea?
Simultaneous, right? Do all those at once.
Yeah, I think so, because I just remember my nephew was an engineer, and he was, here in town, and so I said, I said, I have no idea if this is anything you could do, but I said, could you try to help build me what I was thinking, initially? And so we were going through different latex and depths and how easily it could be punctured. And so I just remember I had taken my ideas to him initially. This was before we even got started thinking that this was going to be a possibility. And it's sort of proof of our idea that this might work.
And it's also reusable,
yes,
which is very unique for a product like this.
I'm sort of the gatekeeper when it comes to money, and to try to make, you get the most for the dollars you're going to spend, because things back then were so expensive. The first simulator here at the college was $150-some thousand. That was not, that was 2001. Things have, definitely improved because technology's gotten better, but, there was a lot of money that, colleges didn't have. So I wanted to provide something that everybody could buy. It wasn't going to be, and if you could use it more than once, then wow. I'm sort of from like, okay, well, this really makes sense for me. So I really worked hard to try to give an angle that if you could use it more than once, that option was available.
And how did you get everybody on board to develop this product at JCCC?
Notice she asks right away, everybody. I think that's absolutely key. If you're going to try and do this yourself, lots of luck. I don't know how far you're going to get. Well, you need a team, a group of people, each with specialized skills. You can file a patent yourself. It's so complicated and there's so much involved with it. I certainly wouldn't recommend that. So one of the first persons we added to our team was a patent attorney. And that was our team for quite a bit. Wouldn't you say you reached out to, was that your nephew?
It was my nephew.
Who was an engineer?
Yeah.
And he was very helpful at the time, getting us on the path of different types of silicones and rubbers and latex, and what would form and what would tolerate a stick. And it was primarily discussions with the two of us and the patent attorney for some time, submitting the provisional patent, and then within a year you need a pretty good prototype so you really understand the elements and submit your final patent. I think the most important person we added, and it was quite some time till we were ready to get that kind of person, and he was suggested by the patent attorney who knew engineers in town and suggested this particular shop. And for the life of me, I can't remember our engineer's name, but he was the one that really actually did the mechanics of making the product.
Right.
Do you remember who that was?
Yeah, it was Larry Guerrero.
Larry Guerrero, yes.
Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to step back just a second. So when we first came up with the idea, we look at fingers. How do we, what size of finger do you have? What finger are we going to create with this? So, and what is the anatomical structure and the nail bed and the filling areas that you want to fill? And again, this is Dr. Zamierowski, he just jumped all over this. He said he was drawing, and I still have some of the original pieces of paper that he was, we were drawing and trying to figure out what's
framed now.
Yes, what's, and so it took a lot of his technical expertise, though, to really create, something that could look like a fingertip. And so that was huge when he was able to provide that. And I think the other step, though, that we took was that we ended up going to the foundation at that point in time, or was that later on?
That was key. I can't remember exactly when. Do you remember the sequence?
I don't. So my conversation with you is that when we came up, because I have information in 2013 in December was our first draft, and we had a 20-page. This was before I think it went to Larry Brown, the lawyer, but in there we were talking about just getting a prototype that we could take to the players already out in market, right? So Laerdal or Gamard, or those groups that were already doing the simulator and had the material and had the designs. We were trying to pitch our idea to them first. That was our first idea, was that we were going to create this item. And so it was at IMSH in 2014 that we set up meetings with the different major companies but again, this was after the patent had been filed, after sort of our idea of getting that. So we showed them what we had to see if they would be interested to buy that. Do you remember that moment?
See, this is so good to have somebody younger here who was involved. She's just bringing back all these memories. Yes, all those steps were just so critical. If this was the first community college patent product enterprise like this, you need to collect Kathy's papers and get them archived.
Oh my gosh.
I remember because this was the first, we had the discussion amongst ourselves, how are we going to position this in relation to the college? Most research universities have standard paperwork covering how intellectual property is going to be handled by the faculty. Nothing like that here, probably at any community college. Maybe some copyright concerns, because teachers write articles and books and tests and things like that. But we had to do the legal background and work about how we would associate with the college. And that's when we went to the foundation. We decided the standard agreement is usually a third. The authors of the patent get a third of the royalty from or profit from sale of the product. The department they are in gets a third, and the university or college gets a third of the royalty. And we made the decision we would, I believe we did, that we donate our third and our interest to the college. I don't know actually what arrangement was made with the department, with nursing. I don't know if it gets any benefit. All the benefit, the profits may go to the foundation.
But how did how did you raise the funding for the product development itself?
You're asking me, was that from my own royalties from patent 3 or patent 4 or patent 7? Ani,
You have 80 patents. So
I've been so blessed. I came to this place looking for a place to fit in, and when I found it, I was happy to put funds toward any project that looked like it would benefit nursing and education. So we had resources. We had, our own funding, as it were, to drive this. Patent attorney costs money. Filing a patent costs money. Everybody's donating their time, but once we hired an engineer, that cost money. The manufacturing costs money. I want to go back a step to the approach to selling an idea. The easiest thing to do if you have an idea and you've patented it is to license it. Then you're done. You don't ever do anything else. Somebody else develops it, sells it, makes money from it, and gives you your royalty percentage. So that's what we tried to do. That was what Kathy was. You remember some of those meetings with?
I do.
With
I was so
Gomard
nervous.
and
Yes, talking to their product, designers and team members, and not the salespeople. These are their designers, and so yes. I mean, I think the initial idea was we were trying to create something that could be useful, something that was needed, something that had not been, at least anything that I had seen out on the market, and so we were trying to fill that need, but also just allow somebody else to do it. I don't think our initial intent was at all that we would set up our own shop and set up our own, warehouse and do.
right. We hoped we wouldn't need to.
No, we were
did
we
not
were
want to.
we were looking for the easy way out, but they weren't ready to nibble. And then, well, there was a couple of offers, but we decided not to take them.
My recollection is the offers were very, very close to snubs by the industry, and not really
Yeah.
worth anything.
So since May, I've been part of JCCC Student Agency, and we've tested the product. And the question that I had was the consistency of the liquid that goes into the finger has to be right. But how did you come up with that? And also, I want to hear more about the challenges that you've encountered along the way and how you've resolved those challenges.
It was just setting up in my kitchen and just going through every different product out there, and a mixture of, again, because some products create, back then, the glucometers.
Blood products.
Artificial
blood, you mean?
Well,
Which we have in the collab now.
yes, yeah, for Halloween, this is perfect timing. So I had gallons of all different kinds of blood out there, but they have different other chemicals in there that would skew the glucose, and the glucometer, was like, oh, I don't think this is blood, and so it'd give me an error code, right? So I had to trick it to be able to use products that didn't have a whole lot of other additives to it, and then added the sugar was the Gatorade. And so again, adding the sugar that had a pH component to it made it more acceptable, and it was just by happenstance that I figured it was on a long Christmas holiday week, a couple of weeks, that I was just out there just trying different. So once I was sort of getting my products, then I had to figure out the consistency. So what was 1-to-1 or 1/2-to-1, and so I sort of gave a range of a low sugar versus a high sugar, and a little bit everything in between. So it would allow for people to also do their own kind of experimentation.
Ani, I wouldn't say happenstance. I'd say a lot of hard work, trial and error.
It was just, I didn't know what I was doing, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if we create pre-puncture wound on the finger, the reusability is better. And I wondered how did they figure this out with this product? And so, hearing from you is incredible. All the trials and errors. And were any students, JCCC nursing students, involved in testing out the product?
Yes, originally, but again, I didn't use any. It was sort of on their own time. They came in, because I wanted to see, how a student would react to it, kind of thing. And I needed to sort of see from their eyes. I knew from from a nurse's perspective, but I wanted to know from them. So that was just something that we did. I said, come, I have candy, I'll, come on in for 30 minutes. I want you to try something new for me. And that's what we did.
Did you expect, when the SAFinger was launched in 2017 in the fall, it garnered global attention, and many articles were published, and
prominent medical institutions and pharmaceutical companies still do purchase the SAFinger from us. And did you expect the level of attention that you have received? And what do you hope that it will continue to achieve? I apologize. That was a lot of questions.
I was not aware that it was so unique, I guess, out there. You know, when you work with Dr. Zamierowski, who's such an expert, that, you know, patents are like, you know, everyday language. And I was just like, so I was surprised that it was so unique for the community college to do what we were doing here. Not that I had ever met anybody, but so yes and no. I mean, I think our simulation group back then was very small in the world. I mean, we had international conferences, and we maybe would have, 1,000, 1,500 people from all over the world that would come. So they were always very positive, but they were my biggest critics. Because, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. Again, we're always looking for that realistic piece. We need to not have it, we want to make it, a good experience for the students to transfer from that moment to the patient moment, right? So they were hard critics out there, but we accepted, and I kept telling everybody, at least they were talking about us. And again, I think we got some traction a little bit as we moved along. But it was, they were under tight budgets, they didn't have money, and again, it only fit certain niches within certain programs. So it was not meant to be something everybody would probably buy.
Ani, if I could, I'd like to back up a minute. I think we really need to emphasize the point that was just such a big dividing line in this process. Once you realize that no big company is going to buy your idea and pay you for the patent, allow you to license it without doing all the necessary R&D to actually get it to market, to make a product, then if no one will buy that, your options then are very few. You mostly have to decide, am I going to build it myself? Perhaps, another option would be to find a much smaller company that might be able to work at it. We looked at both those options, but essentially we just said, if it's going to happen, we're going to have to do it ourselves. And that's when all this development, research and development and design and work on all the details, and I would like to emphasize this again, the critical element at that point was bringing in an engineer who said, yes, I can get somebody to build this plastic in this form, but not this, not that, no, too thick, no, we can't do it that way. I mean, you just get driven into real life very quickly when you involve somebody who's actually going to draw up to plans for the machines and the forms to make the molds.
Well, you just prompted me, because now, remember when we were talking with a company in Pittsburgh? They, oh no, that was Pocket Nurse. They were in Philadelphia. It was Larry,
Yes.
David.
Yes, David. We tried another small company.
And that's right, we did that, didn't we? And but
It was interesting. But
they had the Lancet they had pulled out. So,
Yes.
okay, I'm going to back up. So that's what really pushed us, because this company all of a sudden pushed out a product, and they were called the Lancet. And once that hit the market, we said, if we don't do this within the next 6 months, we're going to lose sort of our position out there. So that really sort of made us start burning the midnight oil. Yeah, so there was a lot of ups and downs to get where we went.
One thing I want to stress, that when we decided we would do it ourselves, we also wanted to make it a Johnson County Community College project as much as we could. One of the funnest things I remember about the whole process was in this room meeting the students from business and having a forum, marketing forum, to decide the name. Mm-hmm. We let the students actually name the product, and we wanted to get student involvement throughout the process, and that's been so rewarding, I feel.
Yeah,
so do
absolutely.
Kathy.
Yeah, they came up with the logos and the name, and just the packaging and everything. So that was very exciting to see that.
But I want to hear a little bit more about when you encounter people who have a lot of say, but don't see the vision that you have for the product. What do you do? How do you navigate through that?
I don't sell it. Kathy sells it. So that
Well, again, everybody's going to have a different need at a different time. So I just figured, I'm here. If you don't see this for you right now, you come back and talk again. I just invite, you never want to close doors. You just keep pushing and saying, maybe next time you'll see that this might have a role or a place for you. So. You just have to stay positive. But again, my bottom line is that if people are talking about it, that's always good. It doesn't matter what they're saying. If you're on somebody's radar, right? And so and you listen, because that's how you're going to make your, what you're doing better, right? It takes a lot of input.
Do you have any advice that you want to give to future innovators here at JCCC? That's a very broad question.
Oh, I'd review the critical decision points. Now, does your idea have a purpose? Does it fulfill a need? Is it novel? Can you prove that to the patent office? Can you get somebody to buy it? If not, are you so committed you're going to do it yourself? Are the main decision points, I think.
Mm-hmm. Do you think all ideas have to be patented? I mean, I don't know, in the level of starting out,
From what I've seen through the years in business, the answer is preferentially yes, but a lot of products exist as proprietary products based on trade secrets. What is the secret sauce? What's in the spice? Trade secrets are a critical thing too. If you can build it and no one else can quite figure out some little step that you do in there that makes it just right. That, that's not a patent that's trade secret, and those are worth a lot too.
The decision to patent some of your ideas, was that also because you want those ideas to be preserved and in the public domain?
The way the patent office works is that within a year of your application of your final patent, your patent is published. So your patent ideas are not trade secrets anymore. They are public, but they're protected because it is patented. No one else can use that idea. But I can tell you from personal experience that is, I remember my brother-in-law laughing at me years ago and patting me on the shoulder and telling me a patent is only as good as the first lawsuit against it. If you have an idea that's patented, it's only as good as your willingness to go to court to protect it. So it's a lot of trouble maintaining a patent. If you're going to make a lot of money from it, that's worth it.
So your relationship with your patent attorney was a special one too,
Yes.
I imagine.
Yes. Yes, I saw, and my wife will verify this, I saw my patent attorney a lot more than I saw my family.
Yes. Yes. And I think the other thing to sort of take away is, we started this in 2013, but we really didn't come out until 2017. That was 3 years of hard, behind the scenes conversations back and forth with people that it took to really develop this. So I think if a student is interested, has something that they need to really know that they're committing. This is not something you're going to do in a semester, you're going to do in the year or in the 2 years you're here. It's going to be something that you are just laying your foundation for it. So,
well, this year alone, I think we have sold nearly 400 kits.
wow.
And so
Yes, I'm wowing also.
I figured
You all
that.
are doing better than we have.
Well, no, I just figured that there would have been other products that would have come out to sort of supersede it. So what you're telling me, I had no idea that it was even still relevant out there at this point in time.
When we attended the Kansas City Healthcare Simulation Conference, we were very surprised to find that this was the only student-led initiative, and it was such a cool experience and made me very proud to be a part of this project in JCCC. And well, do you have any final remarks for us today? And I hope it won't be final. I hope you will be back many more times.
I will say it has been an honor and a privilege to be able to work so closely with Dr. Zamierowski. His perspective of healthcare, patient care initiatives has been a true inspiration, not only for me, but everybody at this college and within the whole community, and now nationally. I mean, because of simulation, he is known all over the world because he is driving simulation to make patient care better. And that has been from the first time he walked in, and we had the opportunity to sort of be in that lab at the same moment. So this journey has been amazing. This has really been a true, something I could have never imagined would have ever happened. So I just so thankful and so grateful for the college to not shut us down either. So, they said, what is it that we can do? What can we help? So we had a lot going for us.
Well, I don't know if the two of you realize, but you're like celebrities in the healthcare simulation field. And it's been such an honor working on this project here at JCCC.
Can I say, Anna, that if you have the resources like I came into this with, and the desire to push something, the only way it will develop and it will proceed and something will happen is if you can find a team to partner with. So my only advice is find a group with as much dedication and commitment and personal creativity as the team I was so privileged to work with here at Johnson County, and find a institution that not all of them do. Find an institution like this, Johnson County Community College, that is proud of its record of creativity and innovation and touts itself as a center of innovation. If you work with a team like that, you can spread the message. And I think we just had our 17th annual symposium on simulation here at Johnson County. The director of the National Society came out to this meeting. People from Hopkins, from University of Pittsburgh, people that weren't even speakers but had been previous speakers, came back to interact with all the incredible faculty that showed up for the meeting. I mean, that only happens if you can have the opportunity to present that to people and start the cycle working. My advice, final advice, find a place like Johnson County Community College. That's how to make something like this happen.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, we want to acknowledge your enormous contribution to innovation, scholarship, and just JCCC community. The work that you've done really enriched our lives, and thank you so much. And thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. This has been lovely. I appreciate that you're reaching out. So thank you so much for the story.
We have round of applause.